Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Now there's just a lot of news happening that I had to do another market wrap. First off, we have Cowbank who have finally declared that they've converted all their preference shares into ordinary shares. We're going to talk about that and I'll give you my thoughts. Also, we have BOG who are finally putting in measures to crack down on all hidden bank charges. I'll talk about this. And finally, we are going to end off with the flop of the day. And today we have government who have finally passed what the public is terming as the Dumsor Levy. And we are going to give our thoughts about it. I have a couple of questions for the finance minister. So we have a lot today. Let's get into it. So we start off with Cowbank PLC. And they just announced that they are converting their preference shares into ordinary shares. So in their statement, they said, Cowbank is pleased to announce the successful conversion of preference shares to ordinary shares effective June 2nd. The conversion was provided for under item 1.5.3 of the rights issue circular. Accordingly, all shareholders who subscribe to the rights issues and held preference shares have their preference shares in Cowbank converted into ordinary shares on a 1-to-1 basis, meaning that if you bought preference shares during the rights issues that, if I could remember correctly, happened around May 2024, it's going to be converted, or it has been converted into ordinary shares on the 1:1 basis, meaning that it's going to be converted into ordinary shares at the price at which Cowbank shares are currently trading at. That's 0.55 or 55 pesos. So this is interesting. I think the preference shares were sold to people at 29 pesos. So if you bought it, in a way you are making money, but on the other hand, your shares are being diluted. So if you're a Cowbank owner, or you own the shares of Cowbank, you should know that the shares of Cowbank, its value is being diluted, or the value of Cowbank is reducing just because they are increasing the number of shareholders. So in simple terms, let's say we have 5 people that own a restaurant that is worth 100 Ghana cedis. So you could say that each person owns 20 Ghana cedis of that restaurant. Now they bring 5 more people as the owners of the restaurant, but they don't increase the value of the restaurant itself. So the value of the restaurant is still 100 Ghana cedis, but now 5 more people own it. So we could say that now each shareholder, that's 10, owns 10 cedis out of the 100 Ghana cedis restaurant. So the value of the 5 shareholders that used to own 20 Ghana cedis has now been diluted to 10 Ghana cedis for the 10 people. So that's basically the most simplest of ways for me to explain it. Now up next, we have news from Bank of Ghana. This news comes from Vault News, and they say BOG cracks down on hidden bank charges. Bank of Ghana is set to implement a new waves of regulatory directives targeting opaque banking charges, questionable digital lending practices, and governance inefficiencies across the banking sector. Mr. Johnson, that's the Bank of Ghana governor, he said, "We are introducing benchmarks that will improve pricing disclosures. No longer will banks hide behind vague operational costs to improve arbitrary charges on unsuspecting customers. The new regulations will prohibit banks from levying unjustified fees and interest charges, especially on inactive credit accounts, an unethical practice that has resulted in some customers owing more than they initially borrowed." Now, this is very interesting. First of all, I don't even know why the Bank of Ghana hasn't put in place measures at the moment. It's good enough that they are now seeing this as an issue and they do want to put in measures to prevent it. But the fact that this has been happening for so long, so long, man, like is just appalling on my end. I think it's embarrassing, and at least it's good enough that they are now putting in measures to correct this, because I'm not going to name the bank, but I do have an experience with one particular bank I used some time ago, like I think 5-6 years ago. I stopped using this bank for like the longest time, meaning that the bank was inactive, or that's at least what I thought. Funny enough, when I tried opening the app for like the first time in so many years, I could see that I had been charged maintenance fee. There were just a lot of charges that just didn't make sense to me, especially thinking about it. I hadn't used the account for so long, so what was the charges for? And I think a lot of banks really do this, and at least I'm happy. In my opinion, I'm happy that finally BOJ is trying to do something about it. Finally, we end off today's episode with the flop of the day. We have the government or parliament approving the new Cedi energy sector levy to be charged on all petroleum products, or basically to be charged on 4 products. This has been termed Dumsor Levy by the public, and people are saying that we finally got rid of e-levy, but at what cost? But at what cost? Replacing e-levy with Dumsor Levy. The reason why government feels that this is not going to affect prices or affect the economy in any way is because they believe that fuel prices in itself has dropped because of the Cedi. Diesel was trading around 15 Ghana cedis per liter, and super was trading around 15 or 15.8 Ghana cedis per liter. And we can see that currently in June, as of 2nd June, we have super at 12.52 Ghana cedis per liter, and diesel at 12.98 Ghana cedis per liter. So all in all, we can see that the prices of fuel has dropped massively, and I myself give the finance minister the hero of the day for the massive appreciation in the Cedi. Looking at this, it actually makes sense. You are paying fuel per liter 15 Ghana cedis around February, and now you are paying around 12 Ghana cedis. So if they were to add the 1 Ghana cedi tax, you essentially will be paying around 13 Ghana cedis or 14 Ghana cedis, and they are arguing that that is still better than the 15 Ghana cedis that you are going to pay. But I have a couple of questions for the finance minister. First of all, they said this was an urgency. That's why it didn't really take a lot of debate, and it was passed within like a couple of days, because they said it was urgent. My first question to the finance minister is, was the massive appreciation of the Cedi planned? Because based on my research, even though the government in itself did a lot, especially the BOG supporting the market with supply of forex, and holding the policy rates, being hawkish, yes, trying to cut down their expenditure and halting a lot of payments so that at least the demand of dollar wouldn't be as high. They did all of those things. But we can also agree that the rise in gold prices, coupled with the whole trade war happening in US and the weakening of the dollar, also did play a key role in how massive the Cedi appreciated. So there's some internal things that happened and external shocks too as well, that all led to the massive appreciation of the Cedi. So if this was not planned, what was the plan for the payment of those legacy arrears and energy sector debts? I would want to know that. So that's my first question to the minister. My second question to the finance minister. Yes, he's saying that fuel prices has gone down, and that's true. I agree with him. But is the anticipation that the Cedi is going to remain at its current level throughout the year? If that is the anticipation, then I don't have any question for you. But based on reports from Fitch, I've seen a report from APSA, a report from Data Bank, almost everyone is saying that even though they do anticipate some level of stability in the near term, by end year 2025, they do expect the Cedi to run back up to around 13, at most 14 Ghana cedis. Now, this is all expectations. We don't actually know what's going to happen. But should that happen, definitely the prices of fuel is going to go back up. Even if not back to the same level, it's going to inch up a little bit. Also, if fuel prices on the global market increase, fuel prices are going to go up. Now, should any of this happen, is the 1 Ghana cedi Dumsor Levy still going to be maintained? Because at that point in time, the amount of money you are going to be paying per liter for every fuel is essentially going to be, if not the same as what you were paying before the Cedi appreciation, almost more than that. And one thing people do forget is, even though it's 1 cedi, it's not 1 cedi because you are buying it per liter. So if you are filling up your car up to like 5 liter, 10 liter, you're going to be paying between 5 to 10 Ghana cedis. So these are my 2 questions to the finance minister. Hopefully you can see this video and give me a reply. I'll love that. But before we end this video, we also have an energy expert who is describing this 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy or Dumsor Levy as regressive. Mr. Insia, the expert, says, "We've seen this playbook before with ESLA and the energy sector recovery levy. None of them have offered lasting solutions. It's not about collecting more. The problem lies not in revenue shortfalls, but in mismanagement and inefficiencies along the energy value chain, from procurement to transmission and distribution." And I totally agree with what this so-called expert is saying. We've had so many solutions with ESLA, with the energy sector recovery levy. There's been so many taxes to address this so-called Dumsor issue, to address all this energy sector issue. Will the 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy help? Yes, it will. But is it going to solve the underlying issue? Most likely not. Unless these inefficiencies are solved, at the end of the day, I still think we are going to be facing the same issues from years to come. So, like Mr. Insia says, we shouldn't focus on revenue, but rather handling the mismanagement and the inefficiencies across the energy value chain. So that's the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching.